Guys, I just won the Bassmaster Classic 2016 at Grand Lake, and I could not be more excited. Just to kind of give you a recap how it all went down. You know, the lake was really tough. It was muddy. It was not the conditions I expected. You know, I expected to go out there, you know, from the previous winter, I caught the snot out of them, you know, jerking a 110. Just some new colors, the Hisori shad and some other things that I was so excited about. But the lake was mud. I mean, we had 6 to 8 inches of visibility, so I really had to throw that out the window. I was really disappointed in that because I had so much confidence in it. And, you know, I started throwing the Megabass Flap Slap immediately right in practice because those fish were shallow. It's a bait I had a lot of confidence in cold, muddy water. And we started out with 44 degrees, and you know, my first bite was like a 4-pounder, and you know, every day I'd get 5 to 6 bites, and they'd all be really big ones, and all of them would come on the paws. Those fish were relating to the sides of pockets, going into the very back. And what I think happened, you know, I think every time the full moon is there, I don't care if it's January, February, and the water's really cold, fish go shallow just from the draw of the full moon. They're not up there to spawn, but they're shallow. And when practice started out, the bite was really good shallow for great big fish, and it were in the backs of the pockets, kind of places you'd suspect them to almost be spawning. You know, the last channel swing, the last little deep water next to, you know, when I say deep water, you know, 4, 5, 6 feet in the back of a pocket. That's where those fish were for the most part. A couple other fish were real flat, you know, points that had brush on them. I had a couple different areas there that I could catch them and kind of duplicate through practice. And you know, the whole thing about this flap slap is it's a bigger bait, yet it's a finesse bait. So many finesse crankbaits out there to such a small body. This is the actual size of 90% of the shad that we have out there, and has such a tight, soft wiggle to it. It's completely different than anything else out there. It's probably, you know, one of the reasons it's so successful on highly pressured lakes like Grand and Guntersville for me a few years ago. But, you know, I was throwing this on 10-pound test, a slow gear ratio reel, a light action rod, because the bite's really light. It's swimming like this, and when I pause it, that bait just automatically goes head up. It's kind of like a secondary reaction to it. You know, any kind of bait that you can have that makes movement without me having to make it make movement is really neat. It's like the pause, then all of a sudden that bait tilts up. It's like that little thing that triggers those hard to catch fish. And I'd reel it slow, just reel it down through there, and then I'd pause. You know, I'd let that nose float up, and then I'd sweep my rod, pause it again, and if I hadn't had a bite, just reel it some more, pause, sweep the rod, pause, and then keep reeling. You know, in the fall when I throw this bait, it's a speed deal. I reel it fast, but in the early late winter, early spring, it's a real slow presentation. That's how it was. It was. It's just hard to believe I won that event going 180 degrees the opposite direction. You know, it was one thing I learned from 2013. I was so tied into doing what I thought I needed to do, where I wanted to do it. I didn't let the fish tell me where I needed to be, and I swore this time I wasn't going to let that happen, that I was going to fish this lake like I approach all my other lakes on the Elite Trail as a brand new lake and really look at it. So it was exciting to win. I don't know what else to say about it. It was over the top. It was like no other feeling I've ever had, and you know, great baits like this, you know, all make it possible. It was exciting. I don't know what else to say.